Welcome back to WagerTalk.com. I'm Marco D'Angelo, joined in studio Bryan Leonard and Teddy Covers. Sports Memo, site you can find Teddy at, in a lot of good stuff. You do some podcasts and everything over there. A little bit of, tell us the viewers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's tons of free stuff. We do a daily podcast. You know, we have an active posting forum, just like you do at WagerTalk. And tons of free info. And, of course, guaranteed plays for those who are interested at sportsmemo.com. Yeah, I've done that before.
We're going to talk about...
So canned. It sounded bad.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, you got to pay the bills, you know. Somebody's got to pay for the lights. Bryan, Teddy, you guys... We're going to talk about handicapping and some different ways of gathering information to help in your weekly preparation. And one of the things, Bryan, you and I have talked about before is the Tuesday meetings, you know, and Teddy, you're a guy that, you know, goes to the Tuesday meetings as well. Explain to the listeners the kind of information that you guys share, what you find, because everybody's different. You know, I used to go to the Tuesday meeting too, and some of the, my scheduling just doesn't get me there anymore, but there's some things I found useful and some things that I found not. I mean, everybody uses different things. What's useful for you?
Well, I mean, the thing that I've been going to the Tuesday group. I moved out to Vegas in '98, and I think I started coming to the Tuesday group in the following year in '99. So I've been going for a long time. There's certainly a social aspect for it, because you know how football season is. You know, you get caught up and, you know, you don't do anything with anyone all football season. To go out, get out and hang out with your buddies for a couple hours, it helps.
My wife reminds me that every week.
Literally, I mean, I don't do any, you're not seeing movies, you're not doing anything. But aside from the social aspect, the thing that I've gotten the most from out of the Tuesday group meetings is alternate points of view. You know, and I'm not a handicapper who's going to listen to 1,000 different people. There are a handful of guys who I respect that come to the Tuesday group meetings. And you know what? If 3 or 4 of those guys line up against me and they're strong, hey, maybe I need to take another look at this play that I was thinking of. So I like the ability to trade information back and forth and opinions back and forth. The other thing I get out of the Tuesday group on a consistent basis is, you know, I'm a watcher. I get most of my predictive abilities from watching games, breaking down the matchups on the field. I'm not a hardcore tech guy. And we've got a couple of really strong math guys that come to the meetings that provide what I consider to be extremely valuable information that when you put A with B together, wow, that becomes a powerful duo.
Bryan?
Yeah, I firmly agree. What I want is I want people who handicap differently than what I do. Exactly. Teddy watches a lot more games than I do. I give him all the credit in the world. There's many times we'll go head to head, you know, on the Tuesday meeting, and he'll say, might want to watch that game the last time they played, or something to that effect. There's also guys that use angles and trends, and I know, you know, we don't do a lot of it here, but there are some things that make a lot of sense. And you go back, you know, you talked about the NFL, you know, before you go to London. You know, that makes a lot of sense. We've all been ready to go on vacation before. It makes total sense. So there's certain guys there that give you something that you don't normally see. There's other guys there that are up on every single injury, and it's really hard to find good injury information. So you put it all together, and another reason why I like it is if we're all on the same side of a game, I know that line's going to move. If we're seeing it, everybody else is seeing it. So you'll see guys at the meeting, you know, getting on their apps, and all of a sudden they're betting that game, you know. And if all of a sudden, if you like the other side of it, I'm thinking, I've got plenty of time to get on this because people are going to bet the other side and I can take the better number.
So in other words, what you guys are saying is if you see a line move between 11 and 2 West Coast time, it's probably all you guys at the Tuesday meeting hammering the apps at the same time.
It's a little bit later than that, but yeah. I mean, it's not a surprise, but it's, you know, knowing that because again, there's a different group of guys that come in there. One commonality, of course, is obviously a love for betting and a love for winning, but really, you're talking about a group, and it's not everyone in the group's a professional bettor, but most of the guys are. Some are public handicappers like Bryan and I. Others are very private in what they do. So you're getting opinions from people that actually bet, and that makes a difference. That matters to me.
Yeah.
You know?
Speaking of private, and this will be the last thing we wrap this up, us as handicappers, and unfortunately, the word that's associated with us is touts. You know, I hate that word, you know, because, you know, we're providing a service. Do you call stockbrokers touts?
Yes.
Okay, but you know,
it's
the same concept, but they don't get what we get. You know,
got better marketing than we do.
Well, we're trying to change that here at WagerTalk, the image. And there's so many times that we share information. We do a lot of free stuff. You do podcasts. You know, I just did a podcast with you last week. I think one of the best podcasts out there, Gil Alexander's NFL Megapod.
Sure.
You know, and the information that we give for free in angles, you know, sometimes you're given something and in my head, I almost stop and say, should I be giving this out for free? Because it's going to affect the market eventually. If everybody starts using the same thing, you're going to lose some of the value. And one of them is years ago, Brian, I used to do it with my Pittsburgh Steelers. They were the most physical team in the NFL. And what I did was I went back and I said, you know what? And this is these things that like when you're watching games, you just like, I wonder, and you jot it down, and then later on you go back and yeah, you're backfitting something, but that's how you find angles. And I said, what do teams do the week after they play the Steelers? Because I'm a Steeler fan, I'm watching them, and you see guys laid out all over the field every week. It's like, how do they respond the next week? They got beat up, when they come back and play the following week. And I used to bet against whoever played the Steelers the week before, and it was a great angle. Well, then the NFL, with their rule changes and that, and was penalized, it seemed like the Steelers were getting targeted for all the penalties on hits. The Steelers weren't the most physical team in the NFL, and the defense got older. The Seattle Seahawks became that team. And I used that concept with them. And since 2010, I brought it out first on Gil's podcast, and people ask, and then you tweet it, and now the Twitter world, everybody knows stuff. But I'll share the stat. Since 2010, if you bet against the team that played Seattle the week before, they're 49-23 if you go against them. They're only 23-49, so obviously that's a fade one. You go 49-23, just blindly betting whoever played Seattle the week before. Now those trends, will they go all the way? Will they continue? But you find something like that, ride the hell out of it until it stops.
So what's the question?
Well, should we share those things? Should we share those things?
Well, my feelings are, I have no problem sharing something that's already public knowledge. I have no problem sharing with something that's easy to find. But we have guys in our Tuesday group that handicap halves, quarters, that kind of thing. Who's going to get the ball first? I'm not sharing that kind of thing. I mean, that's something that the market is small enough that if we bet a limit play, it's going to really move. And if you share that out, you'll never be able to bet that again.
Yeah, the derivative stuff, the stuff with the very small marketplace, you can't share. Yeah. That being said, my philosophy has always been share everything. If I get to a point where all of a sudden if I make a recommendation, it's moving the market by 3 points, then we'll have to reconsider that. But the betting markets, the global betting markets are very large. Even the Nevada betting markets are large. And if you get to a position where you have outsized influence, where you're moving numbers, with arena football, I couldn't share information. The market's too small.
Right.
But with NFL college, share what you got. People respect the fact that you do it.
All right. Teddy, we want to thank you for coming in and joining us this week. And like I said, you can find Teddy at Sports Memo. Always good stuff, and we love having you on. Love doing pods with you and getting into arguments with you because you're very passionate about your stuff, and we'll have you back real soon.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity, Marco, and lots of love all around, guys.
All right. You can check out all our videos at WagerTalk.com.